this week. Michael and I were talking this week about, remember the song from our generation, The Age of Aquarius?
Yeah.
And how when you heard it, it was so hopeful that this new era was coming with a wonderful new world and a wonderful new way of being. And yet what we didn't know that went along with that, in order to birth this new world, it meant the death of the old way of being. And this time right now, especially if you're into astrology at all, I know just enough to be dangerous, but apparently Pluto is in Aquarius for the next 2 years. And if you know anything about Pluto, it's all about transformation. It's all about change. I know I have Pluto in my first house, so my whole life has been constant transformation and change where it just never ends. So for the collective, for the mass consciousness, it's about totally transforming the collective shadow. No wonder why there's so much in the world right now. The collective shadow is being brought out so that it can be transformed. It's the end of the world as we know it. So this old stuff has to go away, but new seeds are being planted, and don't you wish they grew faster? They're being planted for the new way of being. Now currently, I think everybody I know is being triggered to either face or to force us to let go of all those old limiting thoughts, to let go of all that emotional baggage. We can't rise up through the higher dimensions while holding on to the old stuff. Oh darn, all together now, oh darn. I'll give you an example of what I have had to release in my life, just as an example. I've had my grief issues triggered. Most of you know that we lost our cat, Sage. He ran off one night and we haven't seen him since. We don't know what happened to him. And I think I cried for like 3 weeks straight, which, as Brandon always says, I'm an old German crowd. I don't cry much. And so it's been very interesting for me to see. And I think I've let go of a lifetime of grief, not just for dear old Sage, but a lifetime of grief has come out of me. Sage represented to me the innocence and love. He was such an innocent, loving cat. And I've been afraid for him and sad for me, but this grief goes way beyond that. And so it's my issues that I have been letting go of so that I can rise up higher. And everybody's issue is something different. Every emotion, every thought is something different. Now, 2 things that helped me the week that I was really dealing with it the strongest. One was, I always go to Michael's Tibetan Bowl meditation, of course. And at the end of his Tibetan Bowl meditation, often a message will come through him, and that night one did. And it was a beautiful message that really affected me. I'm seeing some heads now. And it really helped me that night. And that same night, I happened to be out in the foyer. You know, our book exchange out there has a whole new set of books on it right now. So please go look at it. And it's to drop off a book, pick up a book. We don't care if you put a donation in or not. If you want to, you can, but mostly to recirculate books. And the one I happened to grab said, "What do you mean the third dimension is going away?" And it's by Jim Self and Roxanne Burnett. I don't know who dropped it off, but I enjoyed reading it, and it helped me a lot that night. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because some of what I'm talking today comes from their ideas. And of course, some of it is mine, and you'll have to figure out whose is whose. But it's all about how we all, and this is where Sage comes in. You know, Sage going off into the world all by himself, separate from the loving environment we've given him and the innocence that he has, is very much like ourselves when we were born into this world. I mean, we came from that higher realm of innocence and love, and I can just see me. Can't you see yourself? I'll go, I got this, I can do this. And I know as a Gemini, I didn't just come here, I dove into the deepest part of the third dimension and all that it contained. And then I got here and it's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? Oops, all together now, oops. Can't you just see yourself doing it? And I even picked I love to play with a tarot once in a while. And I picked a card last night, and I got the Fool card, which is where the Fool is walking off the cliff and going into that other place, totally walking off the cliff in innocence and love, looking around like, isn't this fun? And totally dropping into that third dimension. That third dimension where anything that can happen will. So all these experiences here in the third dimension are here to evolve us, to strengthen our soul, but it feels like separation. And we feel all these emotions of fear and sadness and loneliness. And so my prayer has been, both for Sage and ourselves, for myself and you and everybody, 3-part prayer. Sage is a part of God, or you could repeat with me, I am a part of God. Together, I am a part of God. Divine grace protects and guides him, or divine grace protects and guides me. Together, divine grace protects and guides me. Divine love draws him to his perfect experience. Divine love draws me to my perfect experience. And so this journey that we're on, roaming around lost in this third dimensional energy, the journey home is not about a place, but a state of mind where we have that higher inner experience, no matter what is going on in the world. And so today, just for a little bit, I'd like to compare the states of mind from those third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. I know there are many dimensions. Who knows how high they go. But we're going to just focus today on the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. Well, let's start with this fun third dimension. And I always like to bring it back. I don't always like the symbol of the cross because of all the, what I was raised with, some of the negative suffering and that. But to me, esoterically, it's our connection with God. And then here we are on this third dimensional plane, but always standing in our deep connection with God. And so in the third dimension, the ego dominates. And this out here is real. And we see everything through the perception of separation thinking. We see others as other. And we judge everything as good or bad or ugly. And we feel all those feelings of fear and anger and loneliness and unforgiveness and on and on. And the third dimension is all about the realm of time. And I love it when people say there is no such thing as time, because I don't know about you, but I'm always looking at the time and having to be somewhere on time and do something on time. So in this third dimension, we're constantly regretting the past. Anybody here done a coulda, woulda, shoulda this week? Coulda, woulda, shoulda, don't we all go there? And then we react to what's going on in the present. And I like to call it, our soul has a constant discontent. Yeah, this is what's going on, but I'd rather be somewhere else doing something else. I'd rather have this all be different. And then we fear the future because we totally don't know what the future is going to be. So can you imagine always living in the third dimension with that realm of time and what that does to us? And then to top it off, third dimensional thinking is all about the rational mind reasoning through what's going on out there, what we need to do for our safety and our survival. And very often, because it's the rational mind based on the outer, it's often fear-based. So in order to go to that next level, we have to change our thinking. And we have to let go of all that old way of operating to get to the fourth dimension. Now, what's the fourth dimensional state of mind? Well, suddenly, time is not past, present, and future, but time is living totally in the now. How many of you have read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now? Was that not one of the best books? It's one of those books, if you're on a desert island and you only have 5 books, that would be one of them I would have with me. There's peace in the power of now. There's power in the now. And so in the fourth dimension, it's in the now. And we can easily go there with practice. And that state of mind is more flexible, less rigid. We suddenly can observe all the possibilities of all the choices we have instead of reacting to what's going on in the present. How's that working for you? Oh, come on, how's that working for you? If you're like me, I struggle with that some days. All the possibilities. And then there's the paradox of the fourth dimension. What used to be true on the third dimension is no longer true up here. Oops, altogether, oops. How can that be? And so we suddenly have to allow opposing ideas without reacting. Can you imagine being okay with opposing viewpoints? Oh my, can you imagine? The authors of the book say this, and we can say with great certainty that your stuff will come up. Not it might come up, but it will come up as we're rising through the dimensions. Oh darn, altogether, oh darn. Sorry, your relationship stuff, your job stuff, your money stuff, all of it. But from the fourth dimensional present now moment time, you begin to choose differently. Oh, wait a minute, the outer may be the same, but you're going to be different because we're coming from a different state of mind. And so we'll make different choices. Many more possibilities. You know, I used to think when we rose up to this age of Aquarius, we'd all be dancing in the streets like flower children, and everybody would love everybody and everything would be perfect. Well, it may not look that different, but we're going to be different because we're coming from that higher vibrational state. So, if you can imagine the fourth dimension, let's take it up a notch to the fifth dimension. I think they were the group that sang the age of Aquarius, weren't they? Now, the fifth dimension is where your vibrational state is really high, really fast. And the interesting thing they said in the book, the rational mind cannot experience the fifth dimension. I was fascinated with that. It's totally outside of the box of the rational mind. And that's where we have to tap into that inner divine intuition, that inner divine wisdom, rather than reasoning from what's going on out there. But from that fifth dimensional state, we're able to fully experience our divine nature by whatever name you call that. The grace, the wholeness, the well-being. But, and here's the big but again, you can't take the baggage with you. Altogether, no, oops. You can't take the baggage with you to rise up to those higher realms. You have to let go of the heavy, the dense, the limiting thoughts, and all that emotional baggage of fear, anger, unforgiveness, all that is holding you down has to be let go. And that's why, if you're all feeling a little crazy lately, if you're constantly being triggered, that's why it's happening to all of us, so that we can let go of it, so that we can rise up to those higher vibrational states without the old way of thinking, without the old emotional baggage. Now here's where it gets really interesting. We always exist through all the dimensions all the time. It's like having multiple personalities. We're just aware of this dimension, but we always exist on all the dimensions simultaneously. And the authors say it is very possible to be a citizen of the fifth dimension, walking in a third dimensional world, creating from the platform of the fourth dimension. Oh my God, no wonder why we get crazy some days. Can I repeat that? It is very possible, however, to be a citizen of the fifth dimension, walking around in the third dimensional world, creating from the platform of the fourth dimension. Oh my, oh my. That's where we have to remember the cross. Stay centered here at all times, no matter which dimension you're coming from. Always staying with that connection with your divine source. And the reality out there can change through our higher vibrational state, but it may not, but it can. And collectively, the mass consciousness now together, which is probably why there's so much chaos, is creating that change. And I have hope that, how many of you watched the new Netflix series called New Amsterdam? Have you seen New Amsterdam? A few of you have. It's really interesting because it shows the medical world as it could be from a higher state of mind. And you watch it and you think, wow, that's certainly not happening now. But I think it's planting the seeds. This is how it could be if everyone were allowed healthcare. It's a wonderful series that's changing collective consciousness. And the book goes on to say, look at all the institutions, not just the medical world, but all the institutions, the structures, the economics, all of man's inhumanity to planet Earth and her inhabitants, and know that it will be brought into balance as we keep our center and rise up through that center. The seeds are being planted, even with those opposing forces. Even though it doesn't look like it's getting any saner, the seeds are planted. And that ascension is not a straight line. We go up and down and up and down. Did you ever, when you were a kid, did you play with chutes and ladders? Remember where you'd climb up the ladder and then you'd hit a mark and you'd slide back down? And that's how I feel some days. I can get up there in those higher realms, higher states of mind, and then I slide right down. And I got to climb back up again. But each time we climb back up, we get a little higher, and each time we're able to sustain it a little longer. But it takes faith and courage to be on the planet right now. It takes prayer and your spiritual practice. It takes love and grace and forgiveness. And it takes a lot of letting go. Has it come to prayer? It's come to prayer. Let us make our connection right now. Just close your eyes to the outer world and find that place where you feel and know your union with the divine, your true divine nature. And see that as a vertical line going straight up through you. And know that wherever your arms go out, whatever plane you feel you are on right now, through that center, through that connection that is always there, we can rise up together on wings of truth, on love and grace and peace and joy. And once again, we are so grateful for this opportunity with each other to remember to awaken and to roam these dimensions together with joy. In the nature of the Christ we pray. Amen.